Fuel prices climbing, marketers fuming, and nation watching every move at the pump. Time check, it's 15 minutes past 12 o'clock. Good afternoon to you and welcome to Oil and Gas Watch on Smailz Radio 98.7 FM. As you know, this isn't just another talk show. Yes, this is where we break the noise, we lay out the facts, and as well ask the hard questions no one else will, from refinery disruptions to pricing politics, policy loopholes to power players. Nothing escapes our radar. Just in case you're wondering whose voice you're listening to, this is the voice of Blessing Robinson. Once again, welcome to Oil and Gas Watch on Smailz Radio 98.7 FM. As you already know, I don't do this alone. Joining me on the show, as usual, is the CEO of Petroleumprice.ng.
Thank you so much, Blessing, for having me.
Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon. And how was your weekend?
My weekend was fantastic. How was yours?
Yeah, it was great. We had a turbulent weekend in the oil and gas sector where Dangote increased its ex-depot price to 880 naira per litre. Thereafter, MRS, the subsidiary organization to Dangote Refinery, also moved their prices to 925 in Lagos, 935 in the southwestern states, 945 in the north central and northwestern states, 955 in the southwestern states, 955 in the southeastern states, and 955 in the northeastern states.
And again, talking about that, we will talk about that. We have a lot to talk about on Oil and Gas Watch on today's episode. For the next 45 minutes, we will go deep into the stories shaping our fuel cost, our transport fares, and of course the economy at large. And we will check out the petroleum news roundup for last week. We will open the call lines for you to join the conversation, and of course Olatide Jeremiah will bring to us the A to Z of oil and gas. So you want to stay glued to Smailz Radio 98.7 FM. If you have to move, like I always say, move with your radio. When we come back, we look at the petroleum news roundup for last week. Stay with us. Welcome back. Smailz Radio 98.7 FM is the station you are tuned into, and this is Oil and Gas Watch. Just as we said, we are delving into the oil and gas sector on the show. You already know it's been a whirlwind week in Nigeria's downstream oil and gas sector, with headlines dominated by Dangote Refinery developments, pricing battles, and of course regulatory revelations. And to help us unpack these major stories, we have Olatide Jeremiah in the building. So we are going straight into the news roundup for last week, and then we begin from the big announcement on June 15th, that was on Sunday. Dangote Refinery says it will begin full distribution nationwide from August. And the headline here says Dangote Refinery to start full supply nationwide August 15. So, talking about this, how do you foresee this impacting Nigeria's full supply chain and our dependence on imports?
For me, the initiative by Dangote Refinery is a transformative one. Getting a 4,000 trucks of CNG to distribute petroleum products across Nigeria is a good one. Between the 15th of June to the 15th of August, there's going to be a 60-day KYC to all organizations that are interested in lifting petroleum products from Dangote. So it's a good move. Personally, I welcome it. Though we've had varying views from different stakeholders. Ipman coming to say, oh, it's a good move. Petran saying, oh, it's going to create job losses in the industry. But for me, it is a good move. Getting 4,000 trucks to distribute petroleum products from the refinery down to the retail outlets, it's a good move. It's going to help other segments of the industry to innovate and to come up with better ideas on how to compete or collaborate with Dangote Refinery. So it's a good move for me.
Considering the scale of this rollout, some analysts have hinted at possible logistical bottlenecks, Are there specific challenges that could derail this timeline or even reduce its effectiveness?
For Dangote has been in business for decades. He has handled logistics in other aspects of his businesses. So I'm not seeing any bottlenecks when it comes to that. He's going to drive efficiency in distribution and the logistic part of the petroleum product. So for me, it's a good one. It's a good one. My concern is other competitors, other stakeholders in the industry. They coming in might affect their impact or their share in the marketplace.
I actually foresee that it will definitely affect it. But then, if you're saying it's a good one, I mean, you're the analyst here.
Yeah.
If the analyst says it's a good one, who am I? Okay, then let's move on to June 16th. That was on Monday. Depot marketers expressed serious concerns over Dangote's decision to adopt a direct-to-retail distribution strategy. And the headline here says that depot marketers lament Dangote's direct for distribution plan. Let's talk about this. Is this approach an innovative disruption or a threat to existing players in the distribution value chain?
I want you to understand that for every change, for every disruptive change, there's going to be a form of resistance to it, and you don't expect the depot marketers not to react to it because it is outside the norm, outside the way they do their businesses in the last 2 to 3 decades. So it is natural. But Dangote is driving efficiency and transformation in the downstream sector. Nigerians and the stakeholders should embrace this. And a part of the marketers, that's the IPMAN, Independent Petroleum Marketers of Nigeria, are of the opinion that it is going to reduce fuel prices at the pump. And that should be our bone of contention. I know we have all other areas of this plan that might affect some segments, but if you look at it holistically, prices will drop, and that is what Nigerians as a whole should be concerned about, because the distribution chain is going to be free. If you are a retail outlet owner, you are a manufacturer, you are an aviation organization, you could get free petroleum products from Dangote. I mean transport. The logistics will be free. And secondly, for every 500,000 liters you buy, you get an extra 500,000 liters credit. So there is a credit scheme. So it is a complete scheme. It's going to help the downstream sector. So once again I commend this move. It's a good one. And those that are clamoring, over time they will get to see the benefits of this.
Okay, you have said again that it's a good one, and you also said that people clamoring would eventually see the good in this. But then I don't know how long it's going to take for them to see it. But then that brings us to a sensitive issue and talking about survival. So if depot owners are cut off, right, could this lead to business closures, job losses across the distribution network?
The fact is this: they won't be cut off. This will just bring about innovation and transformation in the industry. We have over 40,000 filling stations in Nigeria, and you have Dangote saying, okay, we have the 4,000 trucks, I want to distribute free when it relates to transportation to the end users. So though the depot owners would need to come together, collaborate, possibly buy into the government refineries, get a stake, and also run refineries and compete with Dangote. And in business is a war. As soon as policy shifts start coming to play, it gives room for innovation. It's expected that everybody wears their thinking cap as a businessman. Oh, we have a policy shift from the major player, and this might affect our business. So it is just all about sitting up, coming up with new ideas, doing a whole lot of research, and competing. Business is a war. You don't expect it to win just so easily. So you're going to compete with other stakeholders and see how to fight your space or your market share in the industry. So over time, the good thing about this competition is that it's going to help prices drop at the pump, because that's what Nigerians want. We want consistent reduction of prices, petrol, diesel, LPG at the pump. So over time, these policies will play out. On the long run, it's going to play out. We're going to see the benefits. The competition would take off those middlemen expenditure, abnormal profit that is being incurred by depot owners. So everybody needs to work very hard, and you need to think before you earn.
Think before you earn. You said business is war, and everyone needs to fight for their space.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to June 17th. That was on Tuesday. Marketers were up in their arms. This time it was over 70,000 naira loading fee imposed by petroleum tanker drivers, PTD, in Lagos.
Yeah.
What is exactly driving this fee?
Okay, well, the PTD, they are the arm of NUPENG. What they do is that they coordinate inflow of tanker trucks into the depot and around the country. They are the arm of the tanker drivers of Nigeria. Like, they are this union that oversees the tanker driver welfare. So for every truckload of petroleum products at each depot across Nigeria, particularly in Lagos, you pay as much as 70,000 naira to load a truck from each depot in Lagos. So now I'm going to do the analysis of it. Just bringing your truck from the points of entry to the point of loading, you're going to spend close to 30,000 naira paying several charges. For me, those charges are outrageous. You pay 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira for each point, and those points are just like a space of few kilometers, and they take those monies in several points till you get to the depot gate. And when you get to the depot gate, there are other expenses you pay. So my concern here is that all of this expenditure are adding up to the pump price. Because if you pay 70,000 naira, that's like a 2 naira addition. If you are buying petroleum product, for example, at 880 at the depot, and you are spending 70,000 naira, that's like a 2 naira. So it makes up 2 naira. You've not added transport cost. So when it gets to the station, you need to add all of those to make up your selling price. So my concern is that this is a bit high. The management of the pen should look into it. Previously, prices or charges of NUPENG are pretty less than 30,000 naira, and that's reasonable. But for paying over 70,000 naira to load a truck is outrageous.
So if you ask me, I was going to ask you, how this rippled down the effects, or how this trickled down to affect retail pump prices.
Yes.
But I think you already mentioned that.
I'm going to link it to the regulatory agency. We have the NNPCL that regulates the downstream sector, particularly the depot operation. So the NNPCL should look into it. Have a communication with NUPENG, with the management, let them know these fees would add up to the selling price at the pump. So for me, it is a no-no.
Okay. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, it's a no-no, and Nigerians should stand up against it.
Okay, Nigerians, you listening to me on the other side of the radio should stand up against it. Let's head over to Wednesday, June 18th. That was midweek, and it brought more tension. It's like there was tension for midweek, especially. Dangote halted for sales due to rising crude oil prices. Fueling fears of a looming hike. It says here that fuel hike looms as Dangote halts sales amid crude surge. What would you say?
Yeah, well, we've had a surge. We had surge in petroleum products and oil prices throughout last week. We've had Iran and Israel conflict. It has risen fear and tension all over the world. Prices are rising, stocks are rising, and it's affecting the whole world. Last week, the price of crude oil surged with over 10% in just a day. The last time we experienced such was in 2022 during the strike by Russia to Ukraine. So it's affected so many areas of our local prices, and Dangote reacted to it. 70% of Dangote's crude is being imported, so you expect him to react to it to make changes. So for 3 days he stopped sales to assess what's happening in the refinery, sales and cost of production. So after 3 days he came up with price increase from 825 to 880.
Wednesday was a handful, right?
Yeah.
Because that same day, another headline surfaced, and it says that Dangote is set to export its first petrol cargo to Asia on June 22nd.
Yeah.
Talking about this, should Nigerians be celebrating this move, or should we be worried about local supplies suffering in the process?
No, we've not had in the last 8-9 months, ever since Dangote started, we've not had supply. We've not had supply glitches. We've not had supply issues. We've not had scarcity. Even in the last December, we had a scarcity-free December. Supply would not be a problem in Nigeria again. Quote me, because of the Dangote capacity, its capacity has all what it takes to supply the Nigerian markets, the West African markets, and the African markets. It does 650,000 barrels per day. That's equivalent to 100 million liters daily. And what we consume in Nigeria is just between 50 to 60 million. So he has been exporting aviation fuel to Europe. So this is the first time he will be exporting petrol to Europe. It means that out of excess of this production, that is what he is exporting outside Africa. So he has supplied some African countries petrol recently, and it's a good one that this export is going to help build the economy. It's going to help stabilize our naira, because when we start exporting, we're going to see that balance of trade, and it's going to be a good one for the country.
We hope it will be a good one for the country. And we were not done reading through the headline from Wednesday, and then came a bombshell on June 19. That was Thursday. Says the Senate says it uncovered 200 trillion naira in unaccounted funds in NNPCL's records. In your opinion, what does this say about financial governance and transparency in Nigeria's oil sector?
Well, we still have issues with non-transparency in Nigeria generally, particularly the oil and gas. The Senate Committee for Public Accounts, in person of the chairman, Ali Wadada, had a tense session with the CFO, Chief Financial Officer of NNPCL, in person of Dapo Shegun, where between 2017 and 2023, they've uncovered 200 trillion in naira that has not been properly accounted for. So it shows gaps in the NNPCL and in the petroleum industry. So we really need a whole lot of transparency. We really need a whole lot of accountability. So monies like this will not go down the drain. NNPC, they've been in the news for a lot of corrupt cases, fraudulent act and all of that. So I'm sure the new NNPCL CEO will look into stuff like this to see how to cover all these loopholes. So Nigerians won't continue to hear news like this, because it hurts Nigerians when you see that NNPCL, the national oil company in Nigeria, we are hearing issues like 200 trillion, 80 billion naira, corruption, all that. So it's disheartening.
We are to look at it, in another angle for investors and everyday Nigerians, of course, looking for change. How damaging is this kind of financial opacity to investors' confidence and sectoral reform?
Yeah, it is. It is. For investors coming to Nigeria, news like this sent a wrong signal to them. even to Nigerians, we get to lose trust in our institution. Getting to hear 200 trillion missing, 80 billion naira missing, and all of that. So we really need reforms. We need complete reforms. And I am just hoping that the new management of NNPCL would look into this. They would dig deep and see how they cover up for all of this mess. We cannot continue to hear news like this. We cannot continue to have missing funds or unaccounted funds in NNPCL. So I'm sure that the management of NNPCL and the Ministry of Petroleum, they can hear this loud and clear. They can hear the news flying around, and they will look into it and see how all of these issues are placed on hold.
Let's look at June 20th, that was on Friday. Dangote raised the ex-depot petrol price to 880 naira per litre.
Yeah.
What implications does this have on the pump price Nigerians will pay, and can it be sustained? This past few weeks, I think there was an increase in fuel price and all of that. And this.
Well, I want you to understand, and I want our listeners to understand that it's a deregulated market. Deregulated means that no more payment of subsidy. Oil prices will determine local prices here. Oil prices have been surging in the last 1 week due to the Iran-Israel conflict. And because the market is deregulated means we are not subsidizing anything. What we buy is what we are going to sell. If we buy crude very high, you need to understand that our petroleum prices will be high. That's what it means. So, because Dangote still imports 80% of its crude oil price will determine its price. That was why it increased from 825 to 880. And it's going to have a direct impact on our pump price. Immediately increase the price. Stations across Nigeria made changes immediately. A few days ago, I noticed so many stations moved their price from 870 to 910, 915 in Lagos. Even NNPCL, as I speak with you as of today, all NNPCL station in Lagos State sells 915 per litre. So oil prices is having huge effect on our local prices, and that is why that's the effect of a deregulated market. No more subsidy. Subsidy is gone. That subsidy that is gone by that was said that it's gone by President Tinubu is what is playing out. What we buy is what we sell.
What we buy is what we sell. I was going to ask you, based on acknowledging that some people say this is a market reality, while others argue that it's market dominance. If you would say Dangote is exercising healthy competition, or basically beginning to show monopolistic power, kinda.
For me, this is not a monopolistic ability. It's just a reality playing out. The cost of raw materials determines the cost of every finished goods. And what is the main raw material for every refined product all over the world? It is crude oil. Is crude oil going up? Yes. Will the finished product, that is our petrol and this, go up? Yes. That's all simple analysis. So for every raw material that goes up, the finished product will go up. That's what is playing out between oil price and the refined products, petroleum products.
All right, thank you so much, Jeremiah. To wrap it up for the news roundup for last week, on June 21, Saturday, MRS announced a new pump price across the country. Yeah. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, this is just a reflection of the ex-depot price increase. Even before Dangote increased its price, private depot across Nigeria has reacted to the crude oil surge. It is a deregulated market. Nigerians should get used to the fact that if oil prices goes up, our local prices will follow suit. So MRS, it's natural. MRS is an affiliated organization with Dangote. They have over 400 stations in Nigeria, one of the biggest retail outlets organization in Nigeria. and it's natural that they increase their price in line with Dangote's price because they source 100% of all the products they sell from Dangote. So they increase their price to 925 in Lagos, 935 in southwestern states, 945 in the northwest and in the north central, 955 in the northeast, northeast, southeast and south. So all over Nigeria, prices are between 925, 935, 945 and 955 all throughout Nigeria.
Okay, thank you. Just before we move out of this segment and move to something else, what is the hope for Nigerians?
Well, this is a kind of a tricky question. I know what you mean, Nigerians. I know what you mean is pump price.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Nigerians are concerned about how much is per liter of petrol at the pump.
Yes.
And the fact is this: if we don't fix our government refineries, prices of petroleum products will continue to fluctuate in line with the oil prices. We have 4 refineries in Nigeria that are not functional as I speak with you. Assuming they are functional and they get feedstock of crude from the upstream, from NNPCL, we would be buying 400, 500 per liter as I speak with you. But because, number one, our refineries are not working. Number two, we don't even have enough crude to even give Dangote. Dangote gets just 20% of his crude from Nigeria and he gets 80% abroad. So definitely prices will keep fluctuating. So the moment our refinery works and we increase production of crude from 1.5 million barrels per day to 3 million barrels per day, the moment we do that, prices of petroleum products will drop to as low as 300. In Libya, as I speak with you, per liter of fuel is 48 naira. In Angola, per liter of fuel is 250 naira. In Algeria, per liter of fuel is 300 naira. In Egypt, per liter of fuel is 500 naira. So there are still countries in Nigeria that still buy fuel far below what we are selling. So we need our refineries to work and we need to increase our output in order to drive petroleum prices at the pump.